Welcome to the Reinvent Relevance podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mutzfeld, Director of Learning at Merfeld Career Management. Our show is about what we do to help people who want to take charge of their careers. We call it Reinventing Relevance, embracing change to do the work worth doing. Now, you may be in a position where you like where you're at, but you'd like to move up. Now, how do you do that? It's not necessarily an easy way to go from up the chain. It takes some skill, it takes some strategy, it takes some luck, to be honest. Joining me today is Patti Hays. She's the Executive Director of AWS Foundation in Fort Wayne. Now, she has had quite a career, and one of the reasons I brought her on is she's actually gone from being frontline staff all the way up to the executive level and then pivoted into a completely different career. So because she's navigated these treacherous waters, so to speak, I wanted to interview her and find out what advice she can give. So Patti, thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, Jason. Always good to see you.
All right. Well, let's start off with your story. Tell us how you went from being a nurse to top dog.
Top dog. Well, it was many years and started as frontline nursing. I'm always quick to say once a nurse, always a nurse. Mm-hmm. And I think some of it started by just volunteering, knowing that as a staff nurse, that quickly frustrated me. It was repetitive, recognizing this isn't really what I want, but looking around and seeing what else is there. And then volunteering. It might have been saying, I'll do charge for the day. I'll be on that committee. I will write that policy. Small things, but it was showing a willingness to do more. If you expect it to be done within an 8-hour shift, that's probably not going to give you a path for leadership. And then continuing on from then, each job, there was volunteering for something more, looking around, saying, I'd be happy to do that, stepping forward. It shows those higher up that you're looking for your next job.
Yeah, exactly. Always be ready to move to that next job. So showing initiative and showing that ambition. Now, how do you communicate your value to an employer who, let's be honest, sometimes they just don't notice what's going on? How do you, beyond just volunteering and being present, is there a way that you communicated, hey, I'm not only contributing, but I want to move up? How do you communicate that?
Just by saying that very thing, sitting down and saying, I enjoy my experience here. I'm looking for my next opportunity. That can come with tuition reimbursement programs, perhaps, and finding the employer to help you on the next path, even to say to your immediate supervisor, I'm looking at this program between these two. Which would you advise? What gives me the best opportunity? Gotcha. The other can come with even applying for a position that perhaps you're not quite ready for. Knowing that ahead of time, but putting your name in the hat, giving yourself that interview opportunity is a great way to demonstrate you want something more. Your supervisor may not pick you for that job, but it's an opportunity to then say, so what do I need to do in order to get that job? For me, that went from staff nursing. It went into education positions. It was, I keep going round and round. Moved into charge nurse, supervisors, department heads. Switching departments, for me, it was moving out of nursing per se and being willing to get into physician management, strategic planning, marketing, stretching, but demonstrating I'm able to learn. And now as CEO of AWS Foundation, that springboarded off of community relationships. I worked on boards. I went through Leadership Fort Wayne here in town.
Mhm.
gave me that opportunity for boards, recognizing what else is within the community.
Mm, okay. And now, how did you, let's say you've moved around a couple different places. They're all across the country.
Mhm.
So how do you know when it's time that moving up means moving out? Because there are times, and I know I can attest to this, there are times when your boss just doesn't get it or doesn't have necessarily the capability or the option for you to move up. How do you know when it's time to move on?
Um, for me, it was finding a pattern that Sunday nights were problematic.
Mm,
Just those basic, that sense of dread.
mhm,
It's not morose depression, but
mhm,
just that, not that loss of spring in the step, a sense
mhm,
of what's on my, and if that comes in a pattern, recognizing that was what worked for me to say, then what else happens? It's true. It's easier to find a job when you have a job.
yeah, true.
Um, don't say that's it 3 Sunday nights in a row and hand in your resignation. Um, and being prepared that as you get out and start looking, however, that it might be an opportunity to go to your direct supervisor and say, I am looking, I'm
Mm,
dissatisfied.
mm,
Um, it may, there may be something else available within the organization,
mhm,
but it's hard to keep that secret. Word gets out that you are looking, so be
mhm.
prepared to
That's
go. Yeah,
mhm. Very true, very true. And you always need to be prepared. Sometimes that could have some ramifications, negative ramifications. Although sometimes it can turn out, oh, well, you know what? Let's make a position for you. So being open about it can sometimes help you. It can also sometimes hurt you. So it's
yeah.
a very fine
Unless you
line.
unless
Yeah.
you've decided there's nothing that they can say to keep you there,
Ah, true, true.
and
Exactly.
be prepared to answer that question as well.
Gotcha. Now, you'd mentioned that you'd moved into the CEO role. Uh, you switched industries, though. Technically, how did that work to pivot into a completely different field? Because AWS isn't directly associated with healthcare. So how does that work?
Yeah, philanthropy, running soon to be $100 million foundation was very different than hospital administration,
Mm,
but it's finding the similarities.
mm,
Being able to organize a group of people, being able to set a vision, project management. It's finding the similarities. What skill set do I have that then translates into other fields? Strategic planning,
mm,
relationships. I can't maximize enough the importance of community
mhm,
involvement, that volunteer work, that getting out, knowing a lot of people in your community is a great way to sell yourself.
mhm,
And partly I was known within that organization. I was known by people on the board. I had worked with that organization in the past. My nursing helped a little bit. I understood government billing, which helped a fair amount.
mhm,
But I had worked with boards in the past. You find those overlaps.
mm,
If you can demonstrate that you are able to learn, that you can ask questions, that you can do project management, those things translate, whether it is healthcare, banking,
mhm,
philanthropy, um, sales,
mm.
a variety of activities could happen off of those.
That's true. Most organizations operate very in a very similar manner, as you say, and it is all about the learning and taking that learning and making it into a transferable skill. Most people think when they think of skills, they think technical. They think,
Mhm.
I am a nurse. I know how to do this, 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 and this. They don't necessarily think of those professional skills that you reference. And again, I completely agree with you on volunteerism. That is makes you a known entity to a lot of people, and they're more willing to work with people they know because there's less risk. Let's be honest. Hiring somebody is a risky proposition. That's why a lot of positions remain open for a long time, because nobody wants to pull that trigger and make a mistake. And already knowing you were somewhat of a known entity, so they could trust you that you would provide the results and the outcomes they needed. So that's great to hear.
And it widens your circle for networking.
Yes.
I said I knew every physician in town. But I had a broad reach in a very small circle. By doing volunteer work, I broadened my circle and then was able to say, hey, Jason, I've been here for a while looking for other things. Keep me in mind if you hear of anything. Not necessarily saying, will you hire me, but asking you to network for me or to keep me in mind, acknowledging that your circle of connections is different than mine.
Exactly. Yeah. I always say, I got a guy, I got a car guy, I got a suit guy, we all want it. It feels great to know people. People frequently talk about being an introvert and they misinterpret what that actually means. You still have to be connected with fellow human beings, because it can make all the difference in a career search. Sure. So,
and it's doing it in return. It's me saying,
yes.
Hey, Jason, I am working with these 3 people who are looking for career changes. Can I send them your way?
Yes.
It's a tit for tat.
Yeah, exactly. And it's lead with the give. Don't lead with the ask. Don't, hey, can you help me out? Say, how can I help you? Oh, by the way, did you know I need some help? So, yeah. So what additional advice, you've had some great tips here, but what additional advice would you give for somebody maybe just starting out, somebody who's mid-career or looking to move up? What other advice might you give?
It's talking to people. It's saying, can I have a cup of coffee? And asking career advice. You asked me to do this. Of course I would say yes. Everyone loves to give their opinion. Reach out and say to that person 2 or 3 steps above you, hey, can we have a cup of coffee? I'm looking as someone young. I'm impressed with the experience that you have and would like a little advice. And be sure your immediate supervisor won't be threatened by that you're going to their boss or their boss's boss. But the more people you speak with, the different ideas you're going to get, and there are different pathways to get to the same position. You get to pick your path.
Exactly. And sometimes you never know where it's going to lead. So be adaptable.
It can be circuitous. Yes.
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us today. I do appreciate it, Patti. And everyone, thank you. If you want to learn more about AWS, by all means, look them up on the web. We'll include a link to their website. It's a great organization. We've worked with them before. So thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Reinvent Relevance, and we hope you all have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.